Today we have BKFC's most popular fighter, Bobo O'Bannon. He'll be fighting Ben Rothwell October 1st. Bobo's a really great guy. This was an awesome experience to talk to him, and we definitely learned a lot about him and wish him the best against Ben Rothwell. The podcast is about an hour long. Enjoy. He's free to announce his next fight. So, Bobo, who are you fighting?
Yes, sir. They got me lined up with a fella, Ben Rothwell, and I'm gonna get to introduce him to the squared circle, to the bare knuckle world of things.
Are you gonna be his first fight? That's awesome. How long have you known about that?
Uh, Man, I've been knowing that it was gonna be in the works, something that they tried for, ever how you want to call it like that, for a couple months now.
Are
But
you,
as far as actually working on it, it's only been I don't know, I guess about a week.
a week? Are you already in training? Is that what you were doing
Oh,
earlier today?
Oh yeah, I stay in training. Matter of fact, we cut my stretching short just a while ago so that I could do the interview with you guys here. But yeah, I'm constantly training, man. I work a full-time job, and I work 40 to 60, 80 hours a week. Sometimes 7 days a week. I'm a millwright, so I get out there and get intense into it. Wrench pulling and whatever, and then we have the precision side of things too.
Is that where you
But
get all your strength, brother? Just from working all day?
man, I truthfully believe that it's part of it. I really do. But whenever I come out of high school, I was playing high school football. I had shoe boxes full of letters from colleges want me to come play for them. But then they said something about they wanted to know about my JIPA, whatever a JIPA was. It spelled GPA, and um, uh, uh, apparently I didn't have a real good one of those. So yeah, that kind of ended my college career there. But I went to lifting weights, man, and I decided I wanted to try to be a body. But Ronnie Coleman was like 7 or 8 time Mr. Olympia back whenever I was lifting weights, and he was still in the middle of his reign. And I decided that I wanted to try to be like that. And I went to lifting weights, man, and just constantly, I got huge, man. I'd gotten to the point to where I could bench press 315 pounds. Most time I ever did it was 16 times. And, so I mean, I was just a monster of a fella, researching all the proper lifts and techniques and forms and all this jazz. Do anyways, I quit doing that and started boxing. Went immediately went. That's the reason why I quit lifting weights was to start boxing. I was doing the
Mhm.
tough, what they call a little backyard brawl, like a tough man style, one night single elimination tournament in Mobile there, and I went and I'd always knock out the first two or three guys, get in there with somebody that had experience and beat the fire out of me because I was out of shape just weightlifting. And then I quit lifting weights. I went from 335 pounds with a 38-inch waist to 225 pounds with a 36-inch waist uh, in about 11 months. And so, I lost a ton of
Mhm.
size in a very short amount of time. But what didn't leave was my strength. I stayed strong, and I've always been a very explosive kind of person. Explosive movements I've always been very good with. Whenever I was in high school, I was 305 pounds and run a 4.8 second 40-yard dash. So, I've always been very athletic.
What made you get into boxing though? Was it just walking into the gym and just falling in love with the sport, or was there something else?
No, we didn't really have a quote unquote gym really much to speak of in Mobile where I was living at the time. But well, I had some friends that come to school. I was one of the genius kids, the ones that them genius kids that graduate early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that are able to legally buy beer right after graduation. That was me. Um, I liked high school so much I decided to spend a couple extra years. I reckon. I don't know, but I was 18 before I graduated, and these guys come to school telling me about how the tough man contest you can go up there and win $1,000. I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
shoot, heck yeah, I'm big. I'm a tough guy. I can fight pretty good. I'll go beat the piss out of everybody. Well, I went up there, and I thought this was exactly what I was going to do. I had two first round knockouts. My first two fights, two first round knockouts. And then I get in there for the third fight, and apparently this guy slipped through the door with a ton of amateur fights and forevermore beat the piss out of me. He would hit me 3 times, and I'd go to hit him and swing and hit his shadow is all I would hit. And that joker was moving, man. And well, that's whenever I decided to stop lifting weights, stop trying to be big, and let's try this fighting thing out one time. I just wanted to have the bragging rights or whatever. And well, let me say this: I did one while I was in high school, and then about 6 months later, I did another one, and then about a year later, I did another one, and then I decided to start getting serious. And I was already a year and a half out of high school.
Did you come from like an amateur background, or did you go straight into professional fighting?
No, man, I've never been around boxing gym. One time, my father decided when I was little that he wanted to do a tough man contest in Dothan back when we was living in Dothan, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went and trained at this gym for about 3 months, and I got to experience a real boxing gym kind of deal for about 3 months. And outside of that, I've never been in a boxing gym before. And we other than that, I've always been a very, very physical person. I was always the kid that when you come and stay the night with me, we was wrestling all weekend long. We was throwing pine cones and sticks at each other. I get in high school, and to begin with, me and all my friends, we'd just get bored, nothing else to do, so heck, we'd fight each other if we couldn't find nobody else to fight. But then I got so doggone big in high school, man. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I was 305 pounds my senior year. But I got so big in high school, I got to where, you know what? We're not fighting with you no more. You go find somebody else. And and so that's kind of how that worked out for me.
I did see a video of you sparring Deontay Wilder. How was that? How did that come about?
Man, I have, boxing is a very, very small, tight knit community. And
Mm-hmm.
my manager knew Deontay Wilder's manager, JD's, up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And no, my manager reached out to Jay. He said, "Look, we got this. I had a fight with a guy named Skylar Anderson out in Worley, Idaho. A guy was 6'8", 6'7", 6'8", like 275 pounds. And Deontay was the only one remotely close with any kind of height that I could spar with. So we go up there, and I'm using Deontay as my sparring partner, but they still paid me to come up there and spar with him, which I thought was kind of weird. But
How
you know,
how far was Deontay into his career when you guys were sparring?
man, he was not world champion yet. I want to tell you, he was somewhere between like 15 and 25-0. Yeah, and I know that's a huge gap, but it's not a very big of a time frame gap, you know. And that's a bunch of fight gap, but it wasn't a big time frame gap. He was knocking them off. It seemed like once a month there for a while,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it was still very early in his pro career. And but let me tell you this: that baby has always had a right hand. That's his managers talked to us said that he won a bronze medal in the Olympics because of that right hand. And the only ones that give him any trouble were the seasoned veterans in the amateur Olympic boxing game that knew how to get out of the way of that right hand, knew how to use it, that his one strength as a weakness to where he just relied on it.
Is
And
it more of a timing thing with Deontay, or is he really that strong?
man, it's kind of like a I don't know. I guess if you was to go in there and spar with the fastest heavyweight at the gym,
Hmm.
at the local gym,
Yeah.
but you're sparring him with a blindfold on and no headgear, that's kind of what it's like with Deontay because he hits you and is out the way before you even see the punch, before it even recognizes in your brain that he's throwing a punch. And so in my eyes, he's just standing in front of me with his hands by his chin the entire time that we're sparring, and somehow or another somebody else is sneaking in there and hitting me for him. And it was wild, man. Granted, uh, I went up there the first time to use him for sparring,
Mhm.
but it was such a good sparring for him that they invited me back, and I actually got to spar with him. I wasn't there for a camp. I've always worked a full-time job, but I was there during camp a couple of times sparring with him leading up to fights. Now I couldn't tell you which fights it was because truthfully I don't I don't remember. And but the bad thing about that is I was kind of at the where I felt like I wanted to be at the end of my boxing career, so I was steady gaining weight and wasn't really training a whole lot. The first time I sparred with him, I was in pretty doggone good shape, and I give him, we matter of fact, his manager told my manager, he said, I want y'all to come back. I need y'all to come back. He said, I've never seen anybody go with Deontay like that. And so I come back, and I don't know, we probably come back another 7 or 8 times to spar with D. And, we got good work in the next 2 or 3 times. And then after that, I was nothing more than just a live punching bag.
Just out of curiosity, did you get any knockdowns on Deontay? Did he get any knockdowns on you?
I will tell you this. Uh, Deontay has knocked me down a couple of times. There's been a couple of times to where I was walking alongside of the ropes like I was on a Sunday stroll while Deontay was still hitting me. Of course, obviously, once I got to that point, he backed up. Once he realized I was at
Right.
that point, he backed up. But the way it would come about is we'd be throwing down just old school, the Bronx style brawling, and he'd catch me, and then I guess I don't know why I just felt like I wanted to go for a walk. I reckon I don't know. He has dropped me several times. Yeah. The other way around, um I won't answer that question. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm not. I'm not a boastful, bragful. Not gonna publicly try to put myself down too bad or anything like that. But yeah, I will tell you that Deontay has dropped me several times.
What made you get into bare knuckle boxing? Why not just like regular boxing? What is it about bare knuckle that you like or that you wanted to continue?
So in pro boxing, you got the gloves and the hand wraps on, and it's pretty much. Uh, I've tried this before. I can take with a professional boxing wraps and
Hmm.
professional boxing glove on. I can take, and it took me about 10 swings to punch through a 3/4 inch thick sheet of plywood, and I can hit it just as hard as I want. I'm not going to hurt my hand. I wasn't hurting my wrist. I was
Hmm.
just, and I broke the piece of plywood. Now you put my bare knuckles right there, my buddy. I'm not hitting that piece of plywood real doggone hard at all. It's going to hurt my hand, and so transfer that into the fight game with that pro boxing glove on. I will pop your coconut just as hard as I want to, just so I can hear the funny little thud sound that your gourd makes. Uh, you take them gloves off of me and put my bare knuckles up there. Well, I'm still gonna pop you pretty good, but I'm not gonna stick around and listen for that little gourd thud no more because that's gonna hurt my hand pretty bad. And I figure if I can't hit you real hard for fear of breaking my hand, and you can't hit me real hard, and now we kind of eliminated the messing up your brain part of the game.
Do you take less damage like in bare knuckle as opposed to just like
Oh,
maybe for example sparring?
yes. Yes, a tremendous amount, a tremendous amount less in bare knuckle, and the reason why is somebody lands a good punch in on me on pro boxing. I'm
Hmm.
able to throw them gloves up, and they can't hardly punch through them gloves. I can move good enough, I got good enough instincts to keep them from landing another clean shot. A round and a half later, they land another clean punch that hurts me. I throw the gloves up. I'm able to move good enough to keep them from hitting me, and they're not able to finish me off. Well, so I can get hit, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 good times a fight like that, plus all the other good punches I'm taking. They just weren't enough to, wobble me or drop me. Now all of a sudden, my brain has taken that much damage. In bare knuckle with no gloves on, obviously, your knuckles are hard. So whenever that punch lands, there's no give from the glove to slack off from that last little bit of knockout or anything. And because with the pro boxing glove, you got to hit pretty doggone blunt and square. You got to hit very square with your punch to get the full impact. Because with the grease on your face, that glove will slide right off if you don't hit exactly square.
Hmm.
In bare knuckle, that's not the case. Them hard knuckles hit and they dig in and they go straight to your brain is what they do, and it stops you. You get hit. Uh, some of the shots that have dropped me or stopped me in bare knuckle would not have phased me near as much in pro boxing. It would have been a constant pounding on my brain is what it would have been. And that constant pounding on the brain is where it hurts your brain, is where you get the brain damage and all from. And that's just my experience with it.
So something Jose noticed watching your video, it seemed like you have like a distinct advantage when you're infighting with them. Um, is that something that you're constantly practicing, or when did you develop that skill?
Hold on, what do you mean? Explain that a little bit. The advantage. What's the advantage? How?
When you're
So
inside, you just happen to hit them harder than they can hit you. You're always in the right position.
and
Is that
and your
something you practice or?
and also your body shots, like when you're in close, your body shots are probably the hardest ones in BKFC.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see Lewis Rumsey's ribs? I like Lewis Rumsey. I'm not picking on Lewis Rumsey, but did you see his ribs after that fight? Oh my goodness, man! They went straight purple before he ever even made it backstage.
Yeah.
Um, but to answer your question, I was an offensive lineman whenever I played high school football,
Mhm.
and 99% of what we do is all about hip movement. Moving your hips, you got to flip your hips. You get your power from your hips. Everything that we do, you generate your power off the ball with your hips. You learn to flip your hips when you go to pull, and I can come out of my stance instead of going straight forward, come out of my stance, go straight to the left, and move just as quick that way as what most people can trying to just go straight forward. And because I'm able to flip my hips real good and everything, it was drilled into me all the way through high school, playing high school ball. Well, I got really, really good at the flipping the hips and the agility side of things. And that's all the inside fighting is. You've got no other way to generate power other than the quick little flip of your hips where your shoulders follow along with it. And your arm is nothing but an extension of your shoulder. Once you flip them hips real hard, then everything goes with it. And I honestly, I credit my inside fighting, my quick power that I have on the inside. I credit it completely to my days of playing football.
Then I have another question too. With your coach, I've seen that you guys actually train virtually.
Right.
What improvements have you seen since you started working with your coach?
Oh man. Oh my goodness. Um, my jab. I no longer telegraph my jab. My jab comes quick. It's my jab is a lot faster, not telegraphed. It travels less distance. And Now, recently, because I've gotten good at throwing it the way we throw it, the way coaches taught me to throw it, it's also now harder than what it used to be. My all my punches, hooks, jabs, uppercuts, whatever, they're all a lot quicker, a lot shorter, a lot harder to see coming. And I'm putting my combinations together a lot better. Coaches, the way that Coach teaches is Coach Jason Williams. The way that he teaches is that it in the way that he teaches, it allows me to utilize the hip movement, the flipping of the hips, and the stuff that I learned during playing football. And so I'm able to utilize that stuff along with throwing my hands, and yeah, it all his style that he's teaching me works towards all my strengths. And the crazy thing of it is he has not tailor made anything specifically for me. It's just the fact that I happen to be a perfect fit for the style that he teaches, and my head movement has come a long way, my angles have come a long way. My combinations, how fluidly I throw my punches now, and I've come a tremendous amount. And here we have now. We've been out of it for what, 9 months now, 10 months now, and all we've still been training. We took 3 weeks off after the last fight, and we've been back to training since end of February right there. And we train 3 4 times a week, and and doing the cardio. Plus, I do my running, and and everything that we're doing is tailor made to fit the way that my body moves. And like I said, he didn't tailor make it to me. I just happen to be a perfect fit for what he teaches and the way he teaches.
So with his training, is it mainly just bag work, or are you having someone come in to hold the mitts? How do
Hey,
you implement what he's showing you?
well, we've got a footwork grid, the matrix. He calls it the matrix, and I've got a footwork grid laid out. And every day that we start with 7 rounds on the 6 or 7 rounds on the footwork grid here. And he's teaching me different stuff, different ways to move through the grid, through the matrix. And I can't tell you how big of a part of everything I do this was. My major thing in football was my footwork. I had, great footwork for a lineman. Well, then we get here and we start working this footwork, and I'm able to use the knowledge I had to transfer it here, and it's just all working in sync with one another. And then, well, so I've got him set up on my phone on FaceTime, on the selfie cam or whatever, to where
Mhm.
he can watch me and see what I'm doing. I do something wrong, I'll stop and walk to the phone, and he shows me what I did and how I need to do it. And then the same thing on the bags. I've got a water ball, like an uppercut water ball,
Mhm.
and then I've got a 150-pound heavy bag, and he's I've got him set up on the phone. He'll call out the combinations, and I throw them, and that is just the way we do it. Punching a bag is no longer a deal where you get in there and just act like you're sparring with somebody or fighting somebody and just throw whatever it is that you want to throw. No, punching bag is for drills, for throwing the punches, the combinations that coach is telling you to throw, the way that he's telling you to throw them, moving the way that he wants you to.
That's really interesting. And then the other component of training, how often are you sparring and who are you sparring with?
Man, I've got a guy who has become a good buddy, a super super good dude, man. His name is Jamal Tatum. He's out of Petal, Mississippi, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from where I live, but it's about 45 minutes from where I work. And so whenever I get off work, a couple of times, well, we'll probably spar 3 or 4 times before each fight. And I'll get off work and just go up there and go spar with Jamal. And that is my sparring partner. That's my buddy. Like I said, super good dude, and man, he's got pretty doggone good hands too. I keep talking to him. We had to get him in that bare knuckle one time.
Now, when did you break the news yet to Mama Bobo that you're gonna be fighting Ben Rothwell after she told you not to?
Yeah. Honestly, if we we got to be, if I've got to be honest about it, she ended up, her and her business partner Vince Anderson, they ended up coming to me with the Ben Rothwell fight, Rothwell offer, and you know, Vince is doing the talking, Mama's doing the evil eye staring, and like, just go ahead. And she's looking at me like, yeah, just say yeah. Go ahead and say yes one time. And like she wanted to pop me in the head or something. Well, I told Vince, I was like, dude, that's a big guy. He said, yeah, Bobo, you're a big guy. You're a monster fella. I was like, I know, but he's like I'm like a monster guy. He's like a Yeti guy. You know, he's a little bigger than just a monster fella. He said, well, okay. You want me to tell him no? I was like, no. I want you to please get my wife to stop looking at me so I can tell you yes. And she said, oh, really? I said, baby, just chill out. It's gonna be okay. And she said, no. And she started laughing. This woman was holding a poker face, y'all. She started laughing at me. She said, no. She said, you're going to take that fight. I said, well, hold on, do what? She said, yeah, you are going to take that fight. She said, you are going to beat him. I was like, okay. Well, I still haven't talked to my mom, though. My mother. Now, like I said, my wife, that was my wife's reaction, even though she is partly managing me, which I didn't understand why that was her reaction, but that's how she felt about it. Well, she wanted to goof with me. Okay, haha. It was funny for like 0.2 seconds. But I haven't told my mom yet. Uh, I'm pretty sure that like tomorrow at work when she gets on Facebook, she's gonna see it. And yeah, I may be having to take a trip, just an hour and 15-minute drive back home to where Mama is to go ahead and get my ear tugged on. So we're I'm not looking forward to that conversation, by the way, and I appreciate you bringing that one back up.
And then since we mentioned Mama Bobo, another thing that you've said online is that your father's Mexican. Do you know what
Yes,
part of Mexico he's from?
man, the part that sneaks over here. I've got to be 100% honest about this. My father is like I said, he's part Hispanic. His father was a Hispanic, that a Mexican that come across the border. Uh, his mother was like 3/4 Native American, that American citizen, and somehow or another she was married to an O'Bannon guy, and O'Bannon was off fighting a war. He was gone for like a year and a half, and then comes home, and he's super excited that 3 months after he gets home that his wife is fixing to have a baby. I guess they're not real good at math or something. I guess he wasn't good with math.
He was
I'm
good
not
at
sure,
that.
but so this tall, red-haired, pale complected man sees this little dark skinned, dark haired Hispanic baby pop out, and he says, you know what? America's great and all, but I'm going back to Ireland. And so that's what happened there. As far as the my father's father, we don't know, not a clue. Allegedly, before the father has reached out to my father, but the truth of it is, I don't know what the truth of it is. Not all I know is that it was some Hispanic guy, and and actually, I'm sorry, some Mexican guy, because he was actually Mexican, actually born in Mexico, and I feel like it's pretty obvious. No, I don't guess it's obvious. Looking at my father, it's pretty obvious that it was one of the shorter Mexican people. My father is like 5'7", but then you turn around the other side of things. My mama was like 5'8", and all my uncles and cousins on my mama's side are 6 foot tall or better. Well, I've got a couple of cousins like 5'10", 5'11", and they're the short guys. They're the ones that catch the flack from everybody else. But and
Well,
then
you
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say you didn't get the tall side, but I know that those hooks are genetic now.
Yeah, yeah. I got I'm 6'3", so 6'2.5", 6'3", somewhere in there, and depending on what pair of shoes I'm wearing and how my hair is cut, but so I'm not a short guy, but
Hmm.
Isn't it so crazy, Jose? Like watching the Deontay Wilder video with him, like Deontay just makes him seem like he's like not even 6 foot.
yeah, like an adolescent child
Yeah.
is what I look like. It's okay, you can say it. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. He's beating up on a little boy.
um, have you been studying any of the tape from Ben Rothwell?
No,
Okay,
no,
because I was curious how much that actually translates to bare knuckle boxing.
no. My coach has. My coach has
Okay.
been studying a ton of it. Uh, I don't care. I mean, you've got a jab, a right hand. You can hook either one of them, or you can uppercut either one of them. It's pretty well all you can do. You can grab me, I guess, by the back of the head with one while you throw the other. Uh, that's pretty well it. Um, I learn during the fight. I don't care to watch film. It doesn't. I don't. It doesn't really. Like I'll watch some just, and all I care about on the film is what's in their chest. I want to see, is he hollow or has he got a bunch of heart? That's uh that's all I care about on the film. Of course, then again, I've had film where I've watched one guy and I'm like, my goodness, man, I'll have to beat him to death. If I'm going to win that fight, I have to, well, get in the fight and he takes like one or two good shots and lays down somewhere. And, then I've seen some guys that on film, they take one or two shots and lay down somewhere and then turn around and get in the ring with them and I'll hit them with 10 or 15 good shots, and they are still coming at it.
So one
So
fight, one fight that stood out to me and Jose, I actually invited him over to my house to watch it, was when you fought Zach Calamus.
yeah,
That was probably one of the best fights that I've ever seen. Were you expecting for it to be a war like that?
absolutely not. But I got to be 100% honest with you. Uh, Coach and I had just started working together 4.5 weeks before that fight, and I come into the gym after 4.5 weeks of us training together. I come in the gym and I'm like, "Hey, Coach, I just got a phone call while I was on break at work at 9 o'clock this morning. I wanted to save it to talk to you, on FaceTime tonight. But they want me to be in Birmingham Friday." I was like, not over there at Birmingham, Alabama. They want me to be up there Friday to fight. He said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Well, that's kind of not what I was thinking, Coach. I was thinking that we'll do it. It's a debut guy." He said, "What do you know of him?" Nothing. Not a single nothing. I can't hardly find nothing about him on the internet. He said, we won't have that. I said, "Well, Coach, I told you my wife has that operation that she needs here in a couple weeks, and I kind of need that money, Coach." He's like, "Oh, bloody hell, mate." He says, "Pack it in. Pack, do what? What does that mean? He says, pack it in. He said, pack everything up. Go home. Tell me when you get there. Yes, sir. And he was like flustered looking. I get home and I'm talking to Britt and I'm telling her what's going on. I was like, Coach is fixing to drop me. He's fixing to not train me anymore over this. And she's like, you really think so? I don't know. I called him and she was sitting there kind of to the side to where he couldn't see her, but she could see him. And we was talking to him and he said, okay, listen here, mate. Do you promise to me that you'll stick to exactly what we've been working on? Oh, yes, sir. That's my only plan. That's my only option at this point. He said, okay, we'll have it then. Call him, let him know. We'll have it. Yes, sir. So that was the extent of how we accepted that fight. And we went in there. And like I said, I just stuck to what Coach had been teaching me for just, 4.5 weeks there. And he wouldn't let me train anymore that week. We take the week before the fight, we take off to recover. And he wouldn't let me train anymore. And like I said, he was kind of not very happy. There wasn't no kind of to it. He extremely was not very happy that we were fighting so early with such a small of amount. We didn't even have time to build up. We didn't even have time to, nothing for the fight. We just found out we was fighting and shut the training down immediately. And so Coach was kind of antsy about it. Then there was the whole deal of how was he gonna corner me? How was FaceTime gonna work? So I've got a good friend of mine, Eric D'Angelo, and we call him Easy. And Easy was over at the house that night, and we found out we was fighting. I was like, man, I need a corner man. He was like, what does a corner man do? I was like, I just need someone to hold the phone on FaceTime with Coach with the headset. They can holler instructions to me, and then whenever I come back to the corner to get some water in between rounds, they can put the headset on me, and Coach can talk to me. I'm not going to be able to see the phone, with the corner man working, with the cut man working my cuts and all. I said, but I can talk to Coach, and I can listen to what he's saying. He's like, shoot, I don't leave for work until next week. He works on the road or whatever. He said, I don't leave till work till next week. Reckon I can do it? I was like, would you really? He said, yeah. Well, heck yeah, come on, bud. We'll go up there and make a couple dollars real quick. And that's how all that worked out.
So for the next fight with Ben, is your coach flying out?
Man, we are avidly working on getting Coach over here. Uh, as far as where that stands on whether or not he's going to be here or whatever, I don't know. I cannot give you a solid yes or no answer on that because the truth is I do not know. I do know that my wife has been working diligently on everything needs to be done to get him over here. Uh, I'll say this: if it wasn't for freaking uh, COVID, he would be over here no problem. But Coach kind of takes the same stance as I have on this whole vaccination stuff, and he's just not getting it. And so, if I get forced to, I reckon that's one thing. But as long as I have an option, I'm probably going to not to.
And then,
So,
how did you feel when Florida made the announcement that you could, basically a fighter can't have a coach through FaceTime?
oh man, I had no issue with that at all. None, no issue with that. None. But I won't be fighting in Florida, but I had no issue with it at all. They can do. I mean, it's their state. They can do what they want to. I can't talk about their athletic commission or anything like that. I'm sure they feel like they've got valid reasons as to why that is. I'm not sure what those reasons are, but I'm sure they feel like they have some sort of valid reason as to why there's no virtual coaching like that. But yeah, until they change that, I won't be able to fight in Florida.
And with Ben Rothwell, in the article, I saw that he was going to be 285 pounds. Isn't the limit for BKFC 275 for heavyweight?
65 as far as I know. They're running
65.
off the same rules as MMA rules when it comes
Okay,
to weight classes.
all right. And so it is a catchweight fight.
It is.
All right.
Yeah, 295.
I I personally think he might have a hard time making it 295 from the photos that I've seen.
Well, no, we made the exception. I was my managers was talking to me. You know, my wife and her partner was talking to me, and I was like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Man, that's kind of kind of big. It's a rather large fight. He's gonna cut to 285." And they was like, "Yeah, the first contract said 285." I was like, you know what? Why not? I don't care. You know, whatever. 285. Let's do it. Sign the contract and send it back. We get a
If
phone call.
oh, I'm
That
sorry.
285 sounded good to us, but he's not gonna be able to make 285.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
too.
So they was like, how do y'all feel about 295?
Oh man.
I'm like, man, when you're dealing with a ton, what's 10 more pounds? You know, I mean, what's the extra compensation? Oh well, you'll have to talk to them about the extra compensation. And we talked to them, and they're like, no, there's no other extra compensation. Well, what I also know is I was the one that was going to stay on the card. He was the one that was going to be bumped if it wasn't for that. So I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I want to beat the piss out of him anyways. Let's just make this fight so I can go ahead and beat a very big version of him.
Now, another thing, if you research Ben Rothwell, you're definitely going to see that he tested positive for steroids in the UFC.
Bam, hold on. You ain't got to say anything else. I'm going to be very rude and cut you off. You ain't got to say anything else. We are in the wild, wild west. The BKFC bare knuckle fighting is in the wild, wild west. There is, yeah, no, what's them people, HIPAA or whoever they are. Whatever that company is, what is it called?
USADA.
Yeah, them guys too. That one too. They don't HIPAA. That's the privacy place, big dummy. But so they BKFC is kind of like got a HIPAA rule, you know, no ass, no tail, like the military used to say. I guess I don't know. I don't care, man. You know, if you can fight, then you can fight. If you can't fight, then you can't fight. You know, that's kind of the way that is. Uh, I've heard that me and my coach have been working on something different, and I've heard that using testosterone will kill your stamina, and we're fixing to go test that out. If that's the case, him already going to be coming in big and going to be using testosterone. We're fixing to coach, and I have been working on what coach calls. You know, he's from the United Kingdom over there, from Wales.
Okay.
What coach calls a blitzkrieg attack. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in there, and he's not going to be there after the second round. If he is, I'm in trouble come third. But the goal is put him out of there by the end of two. Bring everything. I might hit that joker with a kitchen sink. You might see. I don't know. I'm bringing everything. It's going to be an all-out blitzkrieg attack. You know, all hands on. We're firing everything right off the bat.
All right. So, Ben, if you're listening, you got to start the EPO cycle. Can't just be doing the testosterone.
Yeah, might want to do that. I mean, there's some blood doping or something, you know, get some extra red cells in there to help you carry some oxygen around.
Now, all right. So, it's the day after the event. We see that Bobo won. How did Bobo win?
A stoppage, a stoppage. He landed either a clean right hand or a clean left hook, or an uppercut, or a body shot. And he landed a clean punch. And old Bud said, "You know what? Apparently, I don't like this bare knuckle fighting as much as I thought I did."
Second round knockout. I'm gonna put the money on right now. I'm actually logging in. Second round knockout, Bobo.
Yeah, we interviewed Brandon earlier this week, so we might have to do a parlay for you and Brandon
Brandon,
Lambert.
yeah, oh, that's my boy. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. I'm saying it publicly. I love that dude to death. Now, I know a lot of people that absolutely cannot stand Brandon Lambert. And like I told Brandon, I told Brandon his face to face. I get it. I get why they say that. But they don't see the real Brandon. Nobody does. You know, online? No, you don't get to see him. He'll come across my posts every now and then, and you'll see Brandon comment on my posts, and he'll have hints of his public social media personality, but for the most part, he's a different fellow whenever he's on my post. He's Brandon's a good dude, good-hearted dude. I love that dude to death.
Yeah, he's definitely a real good guy. We had him on earlier this week, and man, he's going through a lot, but he definitely is a solid guy.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. He's got a lot going on. He's been in a very long battle. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't, then go to his page. But and that has healed parts of him that he'll never get back. And that has been a huge burden on him. And I pray for that dude every day. I want you to understand that too. I do. He stays on my mind. He stays on my heart. I pray for him a lot because of the mess that he has to deal with. I'm telling y'all, I love that dude dearly. I really do.
and then another question that I have written down: how is your wife doing? I know for a while, she was having some health issues. I kind of just want an update on that.
My wife has 20, 20 something different diseases that have been diagnosed. She has esophagitis, uh, uh, several. I don't even remember all the names of them. She's got several intestinal diseases. She's got a heart disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which causes the thickening of the walls of the heart. They don't grow outwards, they grow inwards to close off the valves in there. They fought to keep her alive until she was 18 years old, where she could sign to have an experimental surgery where they went in through her growing and went up to her heart and injected the wall of her heart muscle with alcohol. The issue there is she has to be awake and completely conscious, completely alert during this procedure. Cut yourself and pour some alcohol on your arm where you cut yourself at. It's a burn like I hate that burning, man. It feels like you're literally on fire. Turn around and imagine that same burning feeling in your heart inside your chest. Um, I couldn't imagine. She had to be awake and conscious, no painkillers, no numbing, no nothing. And at one point, it induces a heart attack. Her heart actually stops during the procedure. Uh, at one point, she has to cough. I don't know what it is. There's something about the cough that makes her heart kick back up, makes her heart restop. And once she coughed in her heart, but her nurse had to scream at her to make her cough. Anyways, so that was the alcohol ablation. She had to correct the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. The thing of it is it still has chance to worsen. It still affects her body. Now she's got a couple of nerve diseases that affect her intestines. She's got a nerve disease that affects the way that her heart and her brain communicate. What I mean by that is sometimes she'll wake up and her blood pressure will be like 90/78, and she'll have to take her medicine to bring her blood pressure up. Then sometimes her heart rate will be real high. She'll have to take medicine to bring her heart rate down, which also brings her blood pressure down. And it's just a constant battle, a constant balance in that. And it, she's we've got a couple of blood pressure cuffs that we carry with us, and we'll keep at all times. We'll keep a blood pressure cuff on us in case her blood pressure goes to bottoming out. Then we'll know what medicine to give her, or if it goes to spiking too high, we'll know what medicine to give her. And yeah, it's just a constant hurting because of her nerve diseases that she has, and the way that her heart doesn't circulate her blood the way that it needs to. Just hurting all day long, just constant pain. And she got the okay from her cardiologist to have our baby girl, and we were married for like we decided one night 2 weeks after no, it was a week after being married. We decided we'd try for a year. We'd try to have a baby, and if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. And all of a sudden, we're 9 weeks married, and she's like 6 weeks pregnant. And so I guess it happened pretty quick. That was the answer there. But yeah, and since then, the pregnancy caused a lot of stuff to flare up, which they did not foresee that happening, but it caused a lot of other diseases to spin off, and she's been diagnosed with different, way more diseases ever since the we had the baby. And baby girl is 4.5 years old now, and she's been diagnosed with all kind of different stuff, and it's just like I said, it's just a constant pain, constant fight, keeping her blood pressure up, but not making sure her heart rate doesn't go too high, make sure it doesn't go too low. She's got a pacemaker defibrillator unit in her chest there, and it's had to been changed since we've been married. And she gets paced or shocked every now and then. It takes her breath away from her and makes her feel woozy for a minute. And it's just a constant battle, trying to keep her out of pain, trying to keep her, from hurting, just trying to keep her to where she feels like she can actually enjoy being alive.
And we'll definitely keep her in our prayers. That sounds horrible.
That's greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated.
And speaking of prayers, another thing why you're one of my favorite fighters, I like how religious you are. Have you always been religious?
Man, my when I was growing up, my father was a Southern Baptist pastor,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I've been a preacher's kid my whole life. Now, I was not the typical, I don't know if you're aware or not, but a typical preacher's kid is the little hellion runs around raising hell, and people don't want their babies hanging out with the preacher's kid because generally the preacher's kid is a bad kid. That's kind of the stereotypical thing. I was not that kid. I was always a very, very well mannered, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. Very well mannered, very polite, good acting. I'd see some kids going and get in trouble, beating up an old truck that was over there or something. I'm turning around, walking away, going the other direction. I wanted no part of it, and I stayed out of trouble. So, yeah, I was the one that everybody wanted. All the mommies wanted their babies to hang out with Bobo, so that they would have a good influence around them.
Then Bobo gets to 300 pounds and starts entering in bar fights.
Man, look, I've been, uh, I, I used to go out to the little bars or whatever here and there, and then I was going out, and I look on the back of the bar, on the back porch of the bar one night, and my stepdaddy gets punched in the side of the head, and I run out there, and it's like somebody kicked the ant bed. Whenever I run out there, like dozens of people started coming out of nowhere, and we had a big, huge brawl. And I took the brunt of everything and gave more of a brunt of everything, but there's bodies everywhere, like a doggone war. And I went out and took care, take care of my stepdad. The very next weekend, uh, a guy decided he wanted to try to run at a buddy of mine with his fist reared back, and instinctively, I didn't have a thought. I didn't have I had nothing. I was just sitting there, just calm as everything. I thought until all of a sudden I realized that I was standing over this guy that was just laid on the floor asleep, taking a nap, chilling out. Apparently they said I just threw a real hard, real straight right hand and knocked the guy out real quick. and kept him from hitting my buddy. So that was 2 weekends in a row. I decided, you know what, I'm not going out anymore. I don't like this. And I was already known as a fighter, and everybody, a lot of people from Mobile had seen me fight at the Tough Man contest, so they was, oh, don't mess with that guy. But and a lot of people too, just as many people, were want to make a name for themselves. If they can whip Bobo, then they can make a name for themselves. So it's just not a good idea to go out and be around that stuff anymore.
And Bobo, have you ever thought about fighting MMA?
I've got 3 amateur MMA matches under my belt. I have. I used to train whenever I was pro boxing. We was working out of it in an MMA gym, and me and my boxing trainer got invited to come to their gym and work with their MMA guys on boxing. And so we went to the MMA gym, and as part of my extra workout, we'd do the boxing calisthenics and boxing lesson class, and then they would go and do their MMA stuff. Well, I got to where I would go in there and do the jujitsu and the wrestling class with them as part of my cardio and strengthening my forearms and stuff. And next thing you know, I'm walking around looking like doggone Popeye the Sailor Man with all the jujitsu stuff going on. And I got actually pretty good at it. And so they lined me up, I think, 3 fights. And man, there's just something about a leg kick that if somebody kicked me with them leg kicks enough where I got another one of them cantaloupes growed up inside my leg to where I couldn't walk anymore, I'd probably try to erase their lineage. Is what I would do. That stuff hurts so bad, man. If it wasn't for leg kicks, I'd probably would have went the MMA route. But no, the leg kicks stopped it. You can't train like that.
And what belt did you get to in jiu-jitsu, or did you do any competitions just for
I
jiu-jitsu?
I did not. I did not do any competitions or anything like that. There was the guy who did the training or whatever. He was a purple belt, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't know what that means. But apparently, purple belt is like Holy Grail belt or something. But he was a purple belt, and he taught us everything. And I would roll with him, and he was a 185er, and I think I was at like 250, 240 at the time, and he would have a hard time with me. At first, I went in there and he would make me tap out whatever he wanted to do. He could decide before we started rolling what he was going to do to me, and it'd work. But then I started getting a little alert and aware of what was going on, and then it became real, real hard for him to tap me out. And he also found out that when you've got me in a chokehold and I go limp, that boxers don't tap. And there was several times I'd wake up with him popping me in the cheeks with my legs held up, where he done choked me out. He said, "Man, you got to learn to tap." I was like, "Dude, I don't tap." Like when they'd put me in an arm bar and I'd just start hollering. He said, "Tap? No, I don't. I don't tap." And so anyhow, as far as what belt or whatever, I never did go to any seminars or anything. It was just us at the gym. I
Okay.
just did it for extra cardio or whatever, and I got, like I said, I got pretty good at it, just for the little quote unquote gym training that we did.
Do you have a favorite submission?
Yes, I do an arm triangle,
Okay.
dude. No, 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 you don't understand. An arm triangle. I can be I can have you standing on my chest. You can be standing on my chest, and in about half a second, I can have you in an arm triangle, choked out, tapping, asleep, everything you want to look at. That is my favorite. I love an arm triangle, and there's a couple of times whenever I first started learning how to do it, I couldn't sink it in just right, so it kind of turned into an arm triangle neck crank.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not what they said though. It was not okay to them. Let me get about break my neck, man. I'm sorry about that, bud.
All right. So it's been an hour. I, I definitely appreciate you taking this hour to talk to us, but Saturdays are definitely for the family, so we
Right.
appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to you beating the piss out of Rothwell and
Yes, sir.
then eventually gain your belt.
Yes, sir. Definitely, definitely. We're going in. We're going in strong on this one. We're throwing hands hard, fast, continuously. Um, I might after he goes down, I might throw another 4 or 5 punches. Just throw that I was serious. Show that I was serious about that statement there. So you don't ever know with me, man. I'm kind of like 3/4 of the way retarded on the good half of my brain, and so I don't want to. I'm not not real smart. I reckon. I don't know. And that's I got my little quote unquote mental disorders or whatever. I reckon. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. Hold on. I'm trying to think because I'm being serious for a second. Uh, what's that stuff called? Autism. Autism. I'm sorry, not retardation. I'm sorry. I didn't like autism. I think I might be slightly autistic. I've always been told that growing up, but my father was one of them ones. Oh, there ain't no. You don't need medicine for that. You just need a whipping. Come here, and he meant it. He was serious about that too, by the way. But yeah, I'm sorry. That was actually kind of ugly to say. I didn't think about it, but it's not a retardation. It is like an autism or something. That's why if you go back and listen to this interview, I just ramble on the whole time.
Oh, well, you're one of my new favorite fighters now, and I wish you all the luck too on this fight. Second round, I'll be making a lot of money. We can get some drinks afterwards or something once I fly down to Mobile.
Yes,
Um,
sir. I'm in Leaks. I'm living in Leaksville, Mississippi now. My wife, her health. We was living in Mobile. Her health took a turn for the worse, and we had to move in with